Aaron, what's the most exciting thing you can think of to get your blood pumping?
Doing this podcast.
Oh my God, you're right! You did it! Congratulations, you've won a new car.
Ooh.
Yes.
Is it your car?
It's my car. You get my old car.
Yay!
It's a new car.
2005 4Runner.
Well, we hoped you're warmed up because now is the time for a new Weekendology podcast. We're back again with another rousing rendition. We're the only podcast with the hottest takes, the best talking points, and the stories to spark your weekend conversation. This is the show where we talk about music, movies, sports, and more related to media, and we give our takes on how we can change and improve them. So, as always, buckle up because this one's going to be a great one. Back inside the studio along with Aaron Berg himself. Aaron, what's up, buddy?
Bedroom studio today.
The bedroom studio. Well, don't give the readers, or not readers, the listeners, any ideas here now, Aaron. We're not at MZ Studios. We're at the Deichley Studios. So
just as good.
Just as good, yeah. It's going to be fine. So
yeah,
we're excited to have you guys back. If you're new to the show, welcome. If you're a return listener, welcome back. This episode is in collaboration with Colin Kessler of the Big Red World. They're a podcast publishing platform with popular podcasts like Six Drunk, One Sober and The House That Rick Built.
I just listened to that today.
You did? How'd you like it?
It was good. I haven't been watching the Billikens games lately, so they do a good job like summarizing and let me know what I missed. So.
Nice. I haven't watched the Billikens game in a while either, so
you should listen to our family, man. Our partners.
I listen to House That Rick Built. I haven't been able to catch up on the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
It's been very, very busy in the
usually
land
I'm
of Dallas.
Depressed when I listen to the House That Rick Built because they were talking about how bad SLU was and can't shoot free throws and all that stuff. And then now they're great. And so they're really just fun to listen to because they beat Rhode Island by 20, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah, they're on a roll. So.
Tournament's coming up. 2 weeks is Selection Sunday.
Yeah,
and it's less than 2 weeks now, and I'm very excited for this tournament.
We have a legit chance to be picked.
We do. Yeah, check it out.
They always say we're a one bid league in the A10. This is for all the the 12 A10 fans listening right now. But
we're gonna be a dark horse this tournament. I feel.
We're picking it up at the right time. So go Billikens.
Yes. So check out House That Rick Built. You can check Big Red World out on Twitter. They're at Big Red Social, and their website is bigredworld.org. Don't forget to give us a follow on Twitter as well. We're at Weekendology Pod. You can check out our individual handles as well. I'm at William Deichley, and Aaron's at Aaron Levi Berg.
Yes,
I won't spell it this time as he did throughout all the other episodes, but check us out. Give us a follow.
I need to start spelling it again because my followers have slowed down a lot. Even the Weekendology Pod. We
hit a good plateau, and now we've got maintaining the audience. We got to grow it though, so that's why we continue to pump out episodes. I want to have engagement with you guys as well. Tell us what you guys want to hear. We talk about next. Check out our last episode where we talk about the best All-Star Game experience in pro sports. You may or may not agree with our list, but there's bound to be some knee slappers to entertain you in there. So go check it out.
2003 All-Star Game.
2001 and 2003 All-Star Game.
Did you watch them?
I did watch the 2001 All-Star Game, and it was really good.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Didn't watch it. It was on YouTube, so it was kind of bits and pieces back and forth.
Did you actually watch
I watched the extended version of the highlights.
Okay,
I couldn't find the.
I was
gonna
say, how bored are you to watch the entire thing?
So the whole thing was a half an hour, so it was extended highlights.
Were you just mesmerized?
Yes, it was incredible.
Do you agree with me now?
I agree with you. Yeah, it was a really good All-Star Game. Would have been nice.
I'm right about one thing at least.
You're right about lots of things, Aaron.
That's why I'm here.
Exactly. But it's been kind of a quiet last couple weeks lately. A lot of busy work and stuff going on. But anything new in the world of Aaron Berg?
I just got back from Vegas.
Oh yeah, that's exciting for you.
Yeah, no, tried to get some live episodes of the pod out in Vegas, but no takers. So
no.
Yeah.
Try to get Talia Paris to
we're talking to you,
come
Talia
on back.
Paris.
And she
friend of the
goes to
show,
us,
former
so-
friend of the show, because it's been a while. So
Yeah.
she's in Turkey right now, though. So
Wow, that's
she's a
really
little
fun.
busy.
Yeah. Go check out the episode with Talia Paris, though. That was a great episode
Yes,
as well.
definitely.
That was awesome.
She'll be back.
See any shows while you're in Vegas, Aaron?
Chris Angel, Mind Freak.
That's awesome.
Are you ready?
Oh, I love
It
his
was
TV show.
It was so much nostalgia. It was great. Like when he was doing tricks from the TV show, which I haven't watched since high school, maybe even middle school. I feel like it's been forever. And yeah, it was so much fun. He's amazing. If you're ever in Vegas, go see him live.
I do want to go see him because
blown away.
His show was really cool growing up. I remember him like watching all his tricks, and he would levitate and do like all these crazy illusions and escapes, and I was like, whoa,
he
this
did
dude is
one.
incredible.
I mean, they all amazed me, but the one that was the best, he puts a sheet over himself, levitates in the sheet, and then all of a sudden, poof, like the sheet just drops. He's gone. I'm not joking. 5 seconds later, he's walking through the entrance.
No way.
Which is across from the stage. He's like, "Hey guys."
Maybe he is there wires or something, or did you see like anything dangling up above, or
no? And even if he's got a fish line pulling him up and blah blah blah. The fact that he got from the stage to the entrance in 5 seconds, that's like physically impossible. So even if there is like, there's a catwalk or how did he get there that quick? That's the part that amazed me.
Crazy.
Plus the levitation, plus the like disappearing and everything else.
You know, they're gonna make a movie off of Chris Angel too, like when he was back in his heyday, like super popularity,
like
the
documentary.
mid-2000s. Like they were gonna do like a movie based on his like career and everything.
Play him, or are they gonna?
Like somebody play him. But they didn't go through with it.
Okay,
because,
good. I was gonna say, don't do that. He's not dead.
Because he was still in like his prime or like his super popularity back then, and they're like, let's get a movie to show
like
somebody
the
else
mid-2000s.
play him, because he's not an actor. He's not gonna be like doing a
he
drama
thinks he
or
is
something. Well,
he's okay. I got to give him credit because I always thought the show was kind of cheesy because he tries to do that kind of stuff, and he is really funny too.
Yeah.
So if you want to see comedy, the show has some funny parts to it. But he's good. He's a performer. He definitely belongs in Vegas. So
I like
it.
him,
It was awesome. That was
good.
a
I'm glad
time.
you had a good time.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies as well, we're talking about entertainment and movies today, Aaron.
Are you not entertained?
I am entertained. As soon as you walked into the door, I was entertained.
Yeah, not first person that I've heard that from.
Oh, well, modesty is one of your best traits as well. So
that's why people listen to the Weekendology
exactly.
podcast. Just so much entertainment.
Exactly. But we're stepping into the realm of movies, and I was watching a movie actually not too long ago. It's called Up in the Air. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
George Clooney.
Yeah, George Clooney.
I've never seen it.
Awesome movie, really, really great. It was one of those movies that was really like inspiring, and like after the fact, it challenged me to kind of rethink how I look at people and look at how I live my life and how other people live their lives. And it was
that's really funny because I've only seen the previews. I remember the previews from 10 years ago or whenever. I literally just thought that movie was him macking on girls on airplanes.
Well, that's what I thought too, and I was
just thought
this is going to be like like a comedy or like a rom-com or something. And no, it was like a heartfelt like drama. There was some romantic elements with it, but it was such a fantastic movie that it kind of inspired me to come up with this idea for this podcast is, how are movies influencing our way of thinking, and how are movies influencing the real world? Because movies themselves, obviously, it's a $1 billion industry with Hollywood and then foreign films, indie films. There's so many different types of movies out there. We influence the movies that are created, but how are movies influencing us as well? Kind of the external society.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a topic, an argument sometimes. How much entertainment influences people and the actions, and then that gets into whether you should make a movie because people might be inspired too much,
Yeah.
And how people lose track of this is fake, and it's just for entertainment, and it kind of bleeds into real life.
So what do you go and see movies for, Aaron? Is it more entertainment, or do you go to get something out of it? Or,
it's an escape. I mean, I don't really see too many serious movies. I mean, I like serious movies once in a while, but because I can get lost in them and forget in the time being that I am watching actors, and I like to kind of imagine if I'm watching a biopic, or like a war movie, and I can kind of picture, that's Hacksaw Ridge comes to mind, and get lost in feeling like you're there. That's feeling like you're watching World War II from the sidelines.
I think those are the best movies.
Yeah,
too.
that's how you know it was.
They
made
inject
well.
themselves into you, and you can inject yourself into the movie. You see yourself. You can empathize with the main characters. You're able to really kind of grasp as to what it was like, back then.
Yeah.
Do you have a certain genre that you gravitate towards? Or
Well,
what's
so
your favorite types of movies?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, it depends what mood I'm in, which I'm assuming is everybody. But usually, I just want to forget about the serious stuff in life when I watch movies and just kind of turn my brain off. So I'll watch like dumb comedies a lot of the time.
Siri.
Did I ever say Siri in that sentence?
No, you did not. So.
And then when I say her name,
Big
she doesn't go off.
Big Brother's watching.
Seriously.
Listening.
She doesn't like what I'm saying, apparently. Don't talk about dumb comedies.
There you go.
Government doesn't like that.
There you go.
But yeah, like, various movies, but like, I'm a big Marlon Wayans guy.
Okay.
I love his movies.
I feel like we've talked about this before.
Well, okay, but here's my explanation of it. It's so stupid, and you know what you're going to get going in. However, there's always a good storyline. There's always a moral of the story. It's not just stupidity for 90 minutes. There's actually a point to his movies.
Right.
Some more so than others, but they always have good lessons and that sort of thing. So you kind of do have to pay attention, but at the same time, you can kind of just
I agree,
lose
and I
yourself.
think there's a lot of great lessons, and movies can teach us as well. A whole lot of stuff about human element, what it means to be a person in this area, in this genre, what it's like to grow up in this timeline versus another. So there's a whole lot of lessons that movies can teach us. I'm a huge movie guy. I love watch movies.
Yeah.
I
feel like you see every movie in
I
theaters.
try and see as many movies as I can. I've kind of slacked off the last couple of years on some of like the big Oscar dramas and everything, but I usually catch up every now and then. But I think they're the biggest and most influential piece of pop culture that we have. It's one of the only forms of media that can weave storytelling, visual elements, a soundtrack together, and really bring it all together, which is probably the best version of entertainment that we have as a whole. Obviously, there's a lot of crappy movies out there. We love remakes and crazy action things and bad comedies, but there's also a lot of really good movies out there that don't get a lot of attention, or because they're maybe a little bit more serious, or make you think a little bit more. I would say movies for me are probably entertainment and pleasure first off.
What are other reasons people would watch movies?
So there's movies that have like changed the way that film has comes after it. So like movies that change a generation, like Jurassic Park, or there's like the Rocky movies or Jaws or anything like that. But then there's the lessons that movies can teach us too. So I was doing a lot of thinking. I was like, what actually makes, what can movies teach us?
Yeah.
So movies can help us cope from our own bleak realities by making light of them, aka comedies. So think of a comedy that you recently saw, and think of it's just normal day problems, people going
like
through.
satire.
Yeah. Or it's like a comedy or a mockumentary, but they're written in satire or jokes, to make light of it, because these are problems that we go through every day as well.
Yeah.
So that makes us feel better about our own problems by writing in jokes and stuff.
Yeah,
with
you
it
can
too.
like relate to the characters.
Exactly.
And kind of make fun of the seriousness of life.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty powerful, because now I look at comedies a different way after researching and thinking about them. I'm like, well, that's true. Like I watched what was it? A Scary Movie a couple of days ago.
Marlon Wayans, man.
Marlon Wayans was
you.
in the movie, yeah. But it was, obviously some pretty heavy stuff. It was a satire off of all of the other horror movies and everything, but some of the jokes that were thrown in were like, wow, that's really funny. But it was off of a crazy, dark twist.
I can't believe you just brought that up.
I didn't know that was Marlon Wayans.
Yeah,
though,
I think he produced it.
Did he really?
I'm pretty sure he produced all the Scary Movies.
Huh.
He's in them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's his, like, the whole family, the Wayans brothers.
Yeah.
I think they all produced
wow,
them.
that's
but yeah, no, I'm telling
totally
you, like,
subconsciously
everyone
invaded
rips
my
on
mind
me
there, and
for liking Marlon Wayans because they think he's like a black Adam Sandler. And it's like, I'm not ripping on Adam Sandler. Like, Adam Sandler's, talented in his own way. But Marlon Wayans, I just feel like, and I'm probably the only person to ever say this, his comedy has a point to it. And he does the perfect balance of stupidity and just dumb nonsensicalness. But then also, if you think about a little more, or like pay attention to the moral of the story, or get to the end of the movie, there's always some kind of theme to the movie, or something he's trying to teach, or a lesson. It might be simple,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always got a point, or you don't need to pay attention, and you can just watch it for different reasons.
Right.
You can watch it for just a dumb comedy,
Yeah.
or you can watch it for something a little more than that. So
Most of the lessons that are taught in some of these movies are very simple things. I mean, movies have a tendency of glamorizing a lot of the most mundane things in our lives, but I think that's a really cool thing too, because it makes ordinary life feel special. I mean, how many times do you watch a movie where they're just doing like tying their shoe, or they're driving to work or eating breakfast, but it's part of a larger, bigger story, and it makes everything kind of feel more special, or more kind of involved in that way. And I thought that was really cool. A movie that does this pretty well was Up in the Air. So they were literally traveling. How boring is the airport? Like waiting in line for security.
I was just there. It's
literally
terrible.
the worst thing of
On
all
the flight.
time. Exactly. But they did it in an engaging and entertaining way. Like, wow, it's actually cool to go travel online, or in airports and everything.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I kind of want to go to the airport and travel now, or something. I was like, wait a second, no. So they have a way of kind of emphasizing the ordinary points, and
that just makes me think of you're gonna like this, the How I Met Your Mother episode, or Barney's picking up girls at the airport.
Oh, I love that episode. That's a fantastic episode. Yeah, I mean,
we are international businessmen
on an international business trip. I thought, that's a great, good one, Aaron. I love it. Bringing in How I Met Your Mother references into this, but I think they have a way to make boring things in life seem more extraordinary.
So what's the point of that movie? Like,
Up in the Air?
Yeah. Like,
so
what happens?
George Clooney is they use like a fancy terminology for his title for his job, but his company is hired out by other companies who fire people. And so his job is to break the news that you're getting fired, instead of like talking to your boss. So he's a release specialist.
Is this a real thing?
I don't know if it's a real thing, but they made
so he's
it
like
real
he's like
in
the
movie.
middleman to like comfort you, like
pretty much. So like, say like you're getting fired, and I'm like, Aaron, your company's letting you go. Here's a packet that will give you all the necessary details.
He's like the guy in Hard Knocks when the players get cut. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, grab your playbook, come meet the coach in the office. He's that guy.
He's the guy.
Wow.
But
that's amazing.
And then people are like, oh well, you can't fire me all this time I spent into this company.
They start yelling at him.
Like, one of the
it's like, I'm not the one firing you, man. I'm the messenger.
Well, he doesn't yell. He's just like, this is an opportune time to really think about what you want to do with your life. And he does really good. J.K. Simmons is in it, and he actually coaxes it out of him. He's like, you didn't really want to be an insurance salesman all your life, did you? And he's like, well, no. He's like,
that job sucked anyway.
He's like,
you don't need it.
Your resume said that you were, top of your class at cooking school, at culinary school, but why'd you sell out for this job? He's like, well, I need the money. He's like,
you sell out?
Yeah, but you lost. So he helped him, and then at the end of the movie, J.K. Simmons is like a famous chef or something. So
that's an interesting plot.
Yeah, he kind of turns it around, but it also helps you like realize like he travels 362 days of the year.
I thought I was going to say, realize you're in the wrong job, and they realize like, oh, I gave up on my potential.
I have to fire myself now. But it's a really good movie, so it's I definitely recommend people check it out.
Doesn't he meets someone on the airplane though, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he meets like a girl on the airplane. They start a relationship, and then
so they just threw in like the love interest side.
Yeah, but he's like, since he travels so much, he doesn't have time for anybody, so he has like nothing in his apartment. He doesn't make time for personal relationships or friends or family or anything. So this lady comes into his life and kind of makes him rethink that. And then at the end, he's like, well, what was it all for?
There you go. So
I'm not going to spoil the ending.
He got taught.
he got taught something.
He was teaching people, like, hey,
he thought he was living his life the right way, and
then he got taught to improve his own life.
So boom, there you go. See, small little things like that lead to large life lessons, so to speak.
No, I think that's important, when, and kind of going back to our old episode where we talked about movies and how they need to be more creative. I think that's one thing where movies, to continue that, not just be creative, but continue it by put more lessons in movies. Instead of just making sequels to make sequels, like, make them mean something. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm a huge music fan, and especially like rock music. I love rock music because just about every song has emotion and it has some type of message trying to get across. It's not just like they're making it to party. Some are, but a lot of the music I listen to, it's got some sort of inspirational message or some sort of, I need to get my emotions out in 3 minutes. A movie, you got 2 hours.
Right.
So I think these movies need to take a page out of that, because I think they're starting to go down a little bit, and they're just throwing out content, to use that buzzword, to get people to watch, but they can't forget people watch movies for that emotional connection, like you said.
Yeah. And
they watch movies to think about their own life and inspire, themselves. Yeah. Even though they may think it's fake, but sometimes they don't. Some people forget that.
Movies are so powerful in the sense they give you an option to challenge yourself and to make you look at your own life as well, and then make you rethink, well, maybe I should do things a little bit differently. Do you ever walk out of a movie be like, wow, that was like an incredible movie, or like I feel really inspired by anything like that?
Yeah, but I would say it's rare, especially now when I go to a movie theater, just because I think a lot of recent movies.
Can you remember the last time that a movie made you feel like, wow, that was awesome. Like that changes the way I thought about this, or maybe that inspires me to look at things differently, or to be, better, I guess.
I don't think, not off the top of my head, that wasn't a documentary.
Documentaries still count, so.
Okay.
Because a lot of movies and stuff are based off.
I'm really bad about thinking of movies off the top of my head. Like,
I'll put you on the spot
if you name them, then I'll be like, oh yeah, this one. But no, but I know it's happened before, and I think too that's how you know. I think like Hacksaw Ridge comes to mind just because like that was one of the most powerful movies I watched, where not so much it inspired, well, I guess it kind of did, but it inspired me to just be more thankful of everything, and also really thankful of just, not to sound too patriotic here, but like just sacrifices that the military made and the sacrifices that people made in World War II.
Yeah.
And it just brought it to light, because I think we see it so much, over and over again. There's a million Netflix documentaries about World War II, but I've never really gotten that feeling of how just brutal that war was, and how hard it was on people, and just, I don't know, just the military in general. And I think and several movies do that, but that one really comes to mind because I saw it in theaters, and that was one of the first ones where I don't cry usually in theaters, but I cried after.
A tear.
Yeah,
a little baby tear.
A lot of them.
Oh wow.
I was crying just because, and I'd never do that, but it just because it got me thinking, wow, like I need to be thankful that,
See, that's what I love about it. Like that's such a great and powerful moment.
Like
it's like a great movie.
Just needing to be thankful for, wow, I have so much, and I've been so blessed in my life to, I haven't had to go fight a war like that, or I don't need to, deal with those fears. It kind of remakes it. You rethink what you're scared of, because there's so many other things you could be scared of, or you could be those people.
Movies are really good at like bringing out and having people talk about the hard issues in life too.
Yeah.
Like some of the documentaries, I saw this one called Searching for Superman a while back, and it's about education, how inner city kids aren't really given a fair shake for the schools that they attend. And there's a lottery system for kids to get admitted to this like really prestigious school. Obviously no one could afford it, in the inner city, like, very poverty stricken families.
Yeah.
And it kind of shed a lot of light on like how broken our education system is, like how much politics is involved, how much money is involved in order to get to some of these schools for these kids to even be given a chance.
Yeah.
Movies like Hotel Rwanda, look at racism and like the genocide and stuff. You know, Schindler's List talks about Jews in kind of concentration camps.
Yeah,
like these movies are able to tackle really powerful and kind of taboo topics, but form conversations around them and get people to start talking about them a whole lot easier.
I think an interesting thing that I thought of too was, and this is, I guess, a positive and a negative for this movie, but with Joker, they,
good point.
with Joaquin
Phoenix,
Phoenix,
bring up,
that one. So I think it was positive because people brought that up, how, shedding light on mental health and, that whole story and just, it was so well made too, it made you think.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not saying censor movies, but I do think the directors and people making these movies do need to think about, there is a danger though in taking things too far. And I think you make a movie a little too real like that, you don't want to inspire people to. Yeah. I know this is kind of
there's like dark things that happen because of that.
Right, so. Exactly. And I think it's just, I'll use this word that people hate, but the slippery slope. I know that's
it's a slippery slope.
Sounds like an old man, but that movie too, I remember walking out and I was so torn because I thought, yes, that was a good movie, and I'm glad it got me to think a different way about mental health and about you don't know what people are dealing with and their life, and then how to treat people, because look at all the stuff that the Joker was dealing with and what he was becoming because of how terrible people were to him, and it made it feel so real. But then the other part was, it was scary because it's like, wow, that can happen. Like, people can be inspired by that, or what if someone watched that movie and they're a little, they're going through some stuff,
right?
And
and then it like triggers them too,
right? Exactly, and they're like, ooh, I'm inspired to do that too. And I just think where people need to remember, these are for entertainment at the end of the day, and so I think it's that fine line between inspire people through the movies, but at the same time, like, watch how much you're inspiring and watch what content you're putting in
Sometimes the influences that affect from movies to society is negative.
I'm not saying censor stuff. I'm just saying, like, think about putting too much. A little goes a long way with, like, the violence and that sort of thing.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. And, like, there's so many things you can take away from what movies can teach us too. There's more that goes into it. Obviously, a lot of the heroes' journeys and everything from, like, Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, they teach us to overcome challenges, stick with it, be brave, be courageous, and, don't give up. And I think those are kind of more dime a dozen type of stuff than some of the movies like about mental health, like The Joker, or more subtle nuances and lessons in between each of the grand, blockbuster movies and, giant sets and everything like that. But there's been a couple times where films have actually influenced real world society, like trends and stuff, like fashion trends, or ways that people kind of reacted to the movies themselves and kind of inspired stuff afterwards. So there was a big movie in the 1970s or 80s. It's called Annie Hall. Have you ever seen it, Aaron?
No.
You ever heard of it?
I've not even heard of it.
So it started the whole trend of women becoming more progressive, and women being more of like wearing like masculine clothing, which is like, oh, this is kind of a dumb thing to bring up, but it was the first movie to portray like a woman like full like man's clothing, like suit on, like pants, tie, jacket.
It is funny when you look at these eras and someone puts that in a movie and people are shocked. They're like, why is that shocking? You know?
But it set the tone for a lot of references and people to repeat that later on. And then you saw a trend of women like dressing like the Annie Hall in the movie did.
One, I think thinking about society as a whole, and I think that's a good point, and that's important for people to do, is think about, okay, why does society say this? Why is this the way it is? Instead of just going through the motions and doing what we do because that's what society says. Well, who said it?
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to once in a while kind of get that reset, and people are shocked because then you're like, well, wait, why is that shocking?
Exactly.
When you think about it, it shouldn't be that shocking. Like a woman wearing a suit, or there was a movie, I think it was like the 20s, and they put kissing in for the first time ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget what movie it is, but I'm sure if you Google it, you can find it. It was a big movie, and it was just shocking, and people like couldn't handle it. And it's just like, really? Like, it's funny. And then it spurred that to, keep putting it in and then, kind of pushing that envelope. So.
Yeah, they have a chance of revitalizing certain things that...
And revitalizing entertainment as a
exactly.
whole,
Back in, another example was Risky Business with Tom Cruise from 1980.
I've only seen the scene where he slides across the
so that's the most infamous scene. It's kind of influenced pop culture, with other scenes going forward with him singing, in his underwear and everything, and going all around. But yeah, he wears these Ray-Ban Wayfarer sunglasses, and they look like Ray-Bans and everything.
Yeah.
At the time, the sunglasses company was going under because they hadn't sold any of their sunglasses. So Tom Cruise puts them on in the movie.
Wow.
Then afterwards, they had a record sales year, and over 12 million copies have been sold since 1983, since the movie was released. So
he saved Ray-Ban.
It did. He saved Ray-Bans. It kind of symbolized he went from this goofy, awkward teenage kid to this instant, cool, awesome, badass looking dude wearing Ray-Bans.
That's
so
hilarious.
I thought that was pretty interesting to literally have a company saved and a whole brand saved because of one little scene in a movie.
I think that happens a lot too. You see someone dress a certain way in a movie.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that does look cool.
Yeah. I want to dress like that.
I'm sure that's why. I'm sure these companies pay a lot. They're like, hey, get our word out there. Just put this on or wear these glasses, and people will think it's cool, and then they find out, oh, what brand is that?
Well, sometimes it's not always the best thing when people think things are cool in a movie. You ever seen the movie Fight Club?
No, but I know you never talk about Fight Club.
Well, you never talk about Fight Club. So we're talking about Fight Club. Real world Fight Clubs have stemmed from the movie itself.
Yeah.
So people have been starting underground fight clubs and posting videos online, or doing these.
It's always amazing to me when that stuff happens, because it's do you think that's real?
I mean, they want it to be real, which is maybe not the best thing, because movies are obviously...
Isn't that movie cheesy?
Fantasy and entertainment.
I've never seen it, but just the previews and stuff, it doesn't...
It's released in 1999.
Okay.
It's got Edward Norton and Brad Pitt in it. It's a great movie. It's one of a cult classic. It's actually a really good movie.
Is it a great movie, or is it a movie
it
is. Okay. I was going
to
say, is it like Fast and Furious, where people are like, it's great, but then if you watch it again, you're like, yeah, it's not very good.
One, it's got a good plot. It has some really good twists in it.
I mean, Brad Pitt's in a lot of good...
But I recommend you watch it, because it has some underlying themes and stuff to it that is... probably ahead of its time, especially for late 90s, early 2000s, and it was really good.
Another Edward Norton movie that does that is American History X.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, very good one.
He's got some good ones. Him and Brad Pitt. I feel like they don't really do bad movies.
Brad Pitt's been in so many movies, and he's always chosen kind of solid script ones, except for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. With his ex Angelina,
cheated on Rachel.
Yeah, that was a terrible movie. Jeez. I don't know what he was thinking for that.
But didn't he just win his first Oscar? Is that true?
No, he's won other Oscars before.
I swear I saw that, where he won his first Oscar for supporting actor in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I thought he won a couple Oscars before that.
I was surprised.
I thought he won one for Inglourious Basterds. So.
Oh, did he? Maybe it was something like supporting
DiCaprio
actor.
won his first Oscar 3 years ago.
Well, right. So that's why I found it interesting, because I thought I read that, but then people's reaction wasn't like it was for DiCaprio, where once he won, then it was just this explosion.
Gotcha.
And people were happy. Look it up. See if you can look that up.
All right, I'll look it up here. What is it? First Oscar?
Brad Pitt first Oscar.
Oscar.
That also, just speaking of movies, it's amazing to me how, who wins these Oscars. Someone like DiCaprio, he always does these very meaningful, powerful movies, and it took him 20, 30 years to win one Oscar.
Let's see. Everything you know about Brad Pitt and the Oscars. He won his first acknowledgement was back in 96. He was nominated a bunch of times. He won one as part of Best Picture for 12 Years a Slave. But
he wasn't in that.
No. He won... Oh, So I guess it's true. His
first
best
one
supporting
as an
actor,
actor.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as best.
That's
supporting
incredible.
Actor. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, when I read it, I'm like, no way.
It took him that long to win an Oscar, man.
And people's reaction, that was what I found most interesting was people weren't reacting like they did for Leo, and when he won, they were like, cause that's all you heard about.
I just assumed that he had won one.
Right, I feel like that's what everyone thought because with DiCaprio, it was like every Oscar, they're like, is he going to get his first one?
Yeah.
And it was like the Carmelo Anthony joke. Like,
is
he going to get out of the first round every single year? And you're like, shut up, we know. Brad Pitt, I've never heard that, and I don't think anyone else did, because when he won, I read it one time, and I never heard anyone talk about it. How was his first one?
I definitely thought that he had won one a long time ago.
I know, right? That's crazy.
He's been in some great influential movies,
also,
too.
12 Years a Slave, very good movie.
Awesome movie.
Hard to watch, but another movie.
Hey, another one that tackles hard topics.
Yeah, and I think it's a movie that everyone needs to watch because it's another thing you learn about, I feel like, a lot in school, and you hear it so much that you just kind of become immune to it, and you're like, yeah, it was bad, and that sort of thing. But when you really see it in that kind of visualization, it's really powerful and makes you rethink and be thankful.
Yeah, another really good movie. You ever see V for Vendetta?
Yeah, weird movie.
Yeah, so it's about the Guy Fawkes thing from the 5th of November.
Yeah, I think I saw that. I was too young when I saw it. I've only seen it once.
You should. So, I want to rewatch it.
I just remember watching it being like, this is bizarre.
It is.
I didn't appreciate it.
Like a weird dystopian future type of movie, but it really symbolizes standing up against tyranny and oppression. And the mask that he wears in the movie was never even seen or thought of in pop culture before the movie came out, and now it's like Hollywood. Or
now it's anonymous
Halloween masks. Yeah, Anonymous uses it. They're like the hacker group or something that goes around and does what hacker people do. Sit at keyboards at 3 a.m. like typing away.
They inspired the show Mr. Robot.
Did it really?
Good show. Yeah, they have F Society, and it's like the same thing. They all wear masks and they hack and they save people, but it's kind of that question, how are they saving people or are they doing bad?
Yeah, the anti-hero type of thing.
Another kind of, that's not a movie, but form of entertainment that makes you think.
Yeah, movies, TV shows, we're lumping them all in.
Okay.
Here, so
I mean, that's a good one. It's a show that makes you think, what is right and wrong, and if I kind of the whole like collateral damage thing, like, is it right to do this action if it hurts this amount of people, but that whole situation. So
yeah, no, so those are some of the movies that I had thought of.
And in real life, I mean, that's what people talk about with Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do things and it's like, okay, is that good or is it bad? Like, you could have both sides of the fence there. They are hacking, but sometimes they hack for good. So
sometimes the best intentions are the best paved way to hell. So is that how it goes? That's the saying, right?
I've never heard that.
Okay,
but I haven't seen.
I
Fight
probably
Club,
butchered that saying, but hopefully everybody got what I was referring to.
I haven't seen like any of the movies you've mentioned. So
gotta step your game up, Aaron. Come on.
I saw V for Vendetta. So.
Well, we're gonna talk about some movies that you have heard of now.
All right,
they're movies.
Marlon Wayans.
They're movie franchises that have influenced pop culture as a whole. So ones that have set the tone for genres coming after it, or for the whole genre and for movies coming after it. So on and so forth. So obviously you've heard of Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, seen them all.
One of like the first movies to really kick off that whole fantasy genre of going on quests and dragons and goblins and elves and all that kind of stuff. And
I feel like kick off in like our lifetime.
Well,
they've been making fantasy movies forever.
Yeah, but like in terms of like mainstream pop culture,
like influence today.
Yeah, so like you don't see a lot of movies like that before Lord of the Rings were released. You don't have that kind of. You don't have like LARPing people back in like this like the 60s or whatever doing like, oh, I'm gonna
be careful. They're gonna come after you now. The LARPers, man, they're gonna
come after me.
They're gonna be like, we've been around since 1925.
Probably, yeah, they were around since like the 1800s or something, and
we've been around since the 1300s. We've been doing this since it was real.
Oh, dang. But, you know, like
Harper's
the whole
nothing
like
to mess
fantasy
around with.
elements and everything, you know, the movies actually got a better rap than the books did.
Yeah.
Because nobody, like, Lord of the Rings was well known in, like, the literary community, but outside of that, nobody really figured out what it was. So then people were like, oh, these are based off of books and everything, and then, you know, all the books sold really well, and the movies came up. And
it definitely, because the books, I've read the books, and the books have a lot of good lessons, and of course, you know, they are a little different than the movies, but I think the movie brought the lessons the books taught you more to life and more to an easier level to understand.
Yeah. Books are hard to read, though. Like, I tried
They're
to
so
read them
long.
In grade school, and I struggled with them. I didn't understand
that
what was
is the
going
number
on.
one mistake that people make, because I read them in college too.
Yeah, I reread them in college, and I was like, well, this makes so much more sense now. So
Yeah, I read them in elementary school, like when the movies were out, and it's like the schools encourage you to read them. But it's like, dude, I'm 9
like
years old. I'm not going to get anything out of
reading
this.
level. Yeah,
right.
Reading it fourth grade.
Yeah, and I saw so many kids reading those because I think, you know, you go see the movies, and it's like, no, this is not for you. Like, you're not going to understand half of this.
No,
I mean, I guess because you're like, ooh, wizards and hobbits and fantasy stuff, yay! But
well,
you're not. You're going to miss the point of the
fancy
book.
stuff. But it also had one of the best soundtracks of all time too. So
And it's also made New Zealand tourism go up
there you go.
exponentially.
Boom, there you go, influencing real world tourism. So I thought it was made in Australia. Was it New Zealand?
It was New Zealand.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Something
I
learned
think
today.
that's a fact. I think New Zealand's tourism.
I think you're right.
I mean, there was so much. I remember the first one too. I love Lord of the Rings, but that first one, man, they could have cut out an hour of walking. It would have been just as good of a movie.
Giant like scenes of them just
so much walking
around.
Like,
and
oh my
gotta
God.
show up to the New Zealand landscape.
There's if you ever see on YouTube honest trailers,
Yeah, I've seen that.
they do the first
Scenes of them
like
walking.
and strolling and more walking.
Great YouTube channel. Go check that out. You ever seen Jaws, Aaron?
Yeah, I don't like it.
You don't like
I don't
Jaws?
get it. Like, I think I'm too young for it because, like,
You're 28 now.
well, yeah, but the movie was made in like '78.
Well, yeah, but
It's got
the first
young Richard Dreyfuss
summer-
in it, man. That's how you know that's old.
It was the first summer blockbuster, though. So it kinda
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I
kicked
think
off.
I'm too young because I didn't appreciate it because I watched it now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is corny, you know. But
I watched it for the first time actually, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and
really, oh wow,
yeah, I was kind of a late to the party on that one.
That's
I
really
didn't really think it was as scary or as terrifying as people thought it was.
yeah.
But it caused a lot of beachgoers and like beach travel and tourism to go down afterwards because people were afraid of sharks and, you know, being eaten by sharks in the ocean and everything. But when you look at a summer blockbuster, that's like one of the first ones that kicked off the whole popcorn genre. It's like, oh wow, Jaws
Edge of
is a
your
summer
seat.
blockbuster. You know, June, July, May comes around, you're like, oh man, this is it. You know, this is the tent pole of media entertainment for the whole summer. So, but
the
Jaws
tent
was good.
pole?
I liked it.
Wait,
Thought
did
it
you
was
say
pretty good.
tent pole?
Yeah, like the tent. You know, like
What does that mean?
I don't know. You ever heard that? Like the
No, you're throwing
Maybe
out
I'm
all the
u-
expressions.
maybe
that I
I'm
don't
using
know.
all these expressions wrong. Oh.
like what holds up
Yeah.
everything else for the year?
Yeah, like, you know, this like the main attraction.
I thought Christmas movies were that, like, not Christmas themed movies, but like movies that come out on Christmas Day. I thought those are the biggest movies.
I think that's more of a recent trend. 'Cause, summer has always usually been like when the big
Probably because they just looked at the
movies
numbers
come
and are
out,
like,
so-
oh, a lot of people go on Christmas.
Yeah.
Let's put a big movie out.
I think that actually only started like when Star Wars was coming back, and they were like, we're gonna put, you know,
You're
all
not
the
about
Harry
to
Potter
tell me
movies at
that
Christmas and
new Star Wars are inspirational.
well, we're gonna get to that, Aaron. The next one on the
Knew it.
list
Walked into that one.
is the Harry Potter films. The whole back to the magical realm of wizards and witches and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
set a big trend for, you know, people getting tattoos from Harry Potter, round-shaped glasses, lightning scars, all that
Daniel
kind of
Radcliffe.
stuff. Daniel Radcliffe. But
He
it's
is
kinda,
like McLovin, man. Any movie he does now, it's
you can't take him seriously.
Harry Potter. Like,
yeah.
it's so sad because I watched what's it called? Lady in the Black Dress. Is that
I've
right?
seen it. Yeah.
Is that the right
I
title?
think that's right, yeah.
It's a scary movie.
Mhm.
It's so good, but the whole movie I watch it, I'm just like I'm watching Harry Potter. Like, and I've only seen 2 of the Harry Potters, And I still think of him as Harry Potter. And it's like McLovin. I see him in these movies, and they're good movies, but the whole time my brain is just like, that's McLovin. This is, a different movie.
I agree with that. Yeah,
it's too bad.
He's always going to be Harry Potter. But
at least he made his money, though.
It's one of those franchises that has vastly influenced how movies are run. Like the whole long form running franchises, because they had 8 movies off of that.
Yeah.
So
thanks a lot, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah.
You started this.
You started the whole
You influenced
franchise.
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. And all the Marvel movies, too.
You got Vin Diesel and Tyrese Gibson jobs for 8 movies.
I like how you
9
Tyrese
movies.
Gibson jobs, too.
Huh?
Tyrese Gibson gave him jobs. He doesn't. He's
Tyrese Gibson would not have.
No, he wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for Fast and
Yeah,
Furious.
he'd have to go back to like his average rap career.
Exactly.
What else does he do?
I don't know.
Be
Run
buff.
away, run away from stuff.
Same thing that Vin Diesel does. They just are just muscular and they can't act, but they gave him 9 and 10. Ludacris, same thing.
Gave him like $12 million.
Hey, every year,
There
hey,
you go.
Tyrese and Luda and Vin, we're making another movie. Hop on board.
Well, one movie that is a great classic that they didn't make sequels of, thankfully, was Pulp Fiction. You've seen that, right?
Yeah, weird.
Very
Another.
weird.
I mean, it's Quentin Tarantino, so I know.
Non-linear, yeah.
But
very-
I didn't get it. Like I don't know.
It is-
I like Quentin Tarantino movies, but that one I watched.
I don't think that's a movie that needs to be like really understood as a whole for the whole movie. I think it's just one of the movies that just is so iconic, and it's built itself up as like such a great reputation that you can quote it. You can just look back in certain scenes. You're like,
Does
Pulp
he
Fiction
look
quotes,
like a bitch?
That is one tasty burger.
Big Kahuna burger.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where
That is a
people
A-list cast, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's wow.
Uma Thurman's in it.
Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta.
Samuel Jackson. Whatever happened to John Travolta, though? He kind of fell off.
Scientologist, man.
That's right. Yeah, he got sucked up by the alien overlords.
He's interesting, and I think of him like he did Saturday Night Fever, blew up, pretty much made his money off that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, he did Pulp Fiction, made money off that. And, I feel like he's been in, what was the one? The General's Daughter. I think that's the title of it.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Yeah, and it was like a late 90s movie. I forget who directed it, but he's made like good movies every so often. It's like every 5-10 years. But then if you look at his other movies he makes, like Wild Hogs, just like,
oh, man.
What are you doing?
That's a bad movie.
I mean, are you running out of...
The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. You ever seen that
Oh,
one? That
terrible,
one was
dude.
so
I love
bad.
Denzel Washington, too. I would say Denzel Washington is my favorite actor.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, it's a remake, by the way. Terrible movie.
See, I didn't
the
know
new
that.
one. I never saw the original.
I never saw the original either.
But, oh my God, I hope the original's better than the remake, because the remake was terrible.
Well,
So
yeah,
bad.
Pulp Fiction
John Travolta has earrings in it.
kind of those cult
He's just
classic
he's not a
films
good
that-
bad guy. Like,
He doesn't make a good bad guy.
his voice is too high. He's got like a Jose Canseco
he
voice.
used to be a great actor, but now he's not.
He reminds me of Jose Canseco, where he's just like, you can't take him seriously. He's all big and buff, but then he's like got this, really high pitched voice, and like I just expect him to tell a joke. And every time I think of John Travolta, the first thing that pops in my head is Wild Hogs. I think it's just ruined it for me.
That's a bad thing.
So whenever
man.
I think of a movie of his, I just think of him in that movie, like,
oh, that's not good.
trying to be funny, and he's just
He's not great. But what was really great was you ever seen the movie Psycho?
yeah,
Yeah,
Alfred
so-
Hitchcock.
Yeah, that was one of the first movies to set the genre for the slasher films. So it had a unique kind of balance between the music, the acting in it. Obviously, it was black and white, kind of cheesy, really bad acting.
Yeah, fun fact. You know what they use for the blood?
No,
Chocolate syrup.
really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's actually there. You go.
There you go. See?
Setting the if I could talk, setting the scene for later on. Goodness. God, I'm worried that there's some dude in a knife going to stab me in the shower now. So yeah, like the music is very iconic. It's the slasher film.
I feel like
It's
Alfred
beginning.
Hitchcock, because he did that with Birds too. He
Yeah.
got people scared and got
That was-
people
So that's
kind
another
of
movie
thinking
that's
about
like-
real life. Like, oh, couldn't that happen? Like,
After I saw that movie, whenever I see birds like on the power lines, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna kill us all now. So,
oh yeah, that's a common thing in Dallas. Those grackles.
Oh god.
There's so many of them.
Dang, watch out.
Yeah, if you're at 5, 6 o'clock at night, those grackles, man, it makes me think of birds. It looks like it. You'll see those on social media. They'll show it. And, yeah, I wasn't even fazed when I saw it on social media because I'm like, yeah, I see this in real life. I feel like if I watched birds, I wouldn't be scared. Cause
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. Birds are kind of terrifying sometimes, so...
Have you seen birds?
Yeah, it's really scary. Like, it's freaky, man. It's weird.
Just walk outside.
I know.
The movie will come to life.
I don't want to hear it, so... let's see. Another franchise, one of your favorites, Aaron, the Marvel movies. Set the scene for all the superhero genres.
I feel like you think I don't like those movies.
I feel like you don't.
I just
like
rip
those.
on them. No, I they're okay. I just rip on them because, like, you like them so much, and your reaction after every time you see one of those movies is so funny because you're like you watched the most life-changing movie you've ever made. And
because
it's just
pure fantasy. It's pure escape.
It's just
from
funny though because it's
reality,
exactly what if the producers are sitting right there,
Yeah,
they'd just be salivating because we're like, this
target.
is what we were shooting for.
Yeah.
We know you're gonna see every single other one we put out.
Exactly.
Like, they're not bad though. They're fine. I would not classify them as inspirational.
Well, so I would because they turn kind of superhero movies on its head because before there used to be like super campy, like the 1989 Batman and everything. There was old Christopher Reeve's Superman, like super comic book.
The George
like,
Clooney
really
Batman.
Cheesy. Yeah, those ones were terrible too. So it kind of
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Tonight hell freezes over.
Oh God! See, you know what I'm saying? Like those are really
Kiss
bad.
my ice.
And then when you kind of take it to a different element, it's a little bit more realistic, and it makes it both comic booky, but also like more grounded and like really fun movies to watch. And they're also the first set to do the whole interconnected universe thing with different movies. And
they're very detailed.
That's such a huge like trend nowadays in cinema. Is we got to have movies that connect together.
They figured out how to make basically
the same
30
movie.
prequels and sequels of each other, but tricking people so that way you're not like Fast and Furious or like Fast Furious 10. You know, they're not doing like Marvel 25.
Exactly.
They're making a separate movie, but it's interconnected, so you keep seeing it because they're all attached.
Yeah. So there's not really so much of a fatigue for some of these movies as there is like Fast and the Furious.
That's what I'm getting
or
at. Yeah.
like the Matrix movies, even though those are good in its own right. Like you don't need to bring that.
They got
franchise
worse
back.
as you.
Yeah. So yeah, they kind of were still fresh.
They definitely figured out how to do a prequel and also a spin-off really well.
They're even doing a prequel off of a character who died in one of the last movies.
Yeah.
So
no, they're
really
I'll give
good.
them that. They do a good job.
Yeah.
One superhero movie, we talked about this, but offset a couple weeks ago, but the Harley Quinn movie.
Great movie. Yeah, I liked it.
I got to give that props because they tackle the whole, women empowerment movement, that's been going on, but they tackle it really well and in such a creative way. Basically showing that, women can lead and be superheroes in a weird way, because it's another thing too. You think about, is Harley Quinn a superhero or is she a villain?
She's kind of like an anti-hero thing, and
it kind of makes you rethink.
She does the right thing every
see
now and
things
then.
from a different side.
Yeah,
that's a great movie, and I'm Suicide Squad. Great.
There you go. Suicide Squad 2 is coming out soon, so you'll be happy for that one.
I'm also happy because our fellow alumni James Gunn is directing it.
That's true. SLU alumni
pumped.
James Gunn. So I am excited for that one, but the last two movies on my list are like The Wizard of Oz was obviously a huge cultural influence on a lot of movies afterwards.
First movie to have color in it too.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, first movie to use both black and white and color in the same movie. Obviously, like the sets and like the designs of the characters were really inspirational and tackled some good issues within the movie itself. I
would have loved to be in that movie theater when they
I know.
threw on the color.
Yeah,
people must have just flipped
because there's no previews back then. Like if you're watching a preview, you can't
there's no
see it like on your TV because it's black and white.
Well, and I feel like not a lot of people went to the movies as
Yeah.
much. I might be wrong, but it's during the Depression, so I can't imagine people are just throwing their money at the movies. And there's no social media, so it's not like there's spoilers or, hey, I heard this movie has color. I think people were going to see it over and over, and then you could see that 2 weeks later, and you probably didn't know. And you were
I'd
still
love
surprised.
to, go back and see what it was like before social media, before reading the reviews, before I even watched the movie, or just seeing like without even watching a trailer, just like going in totally blind to a movie and be like, that was incredible.
Probably had a more honest opinion of the
horrible.
movie, because I feel like a lot of times we go into movies and we expect too much, or we go into movies thinking, this is gonna suck. And
well, you watch the trailer and you're like, well, I know exactly what that movie's about. And
or you know what they're gonna say.
Seconds, yeah.
Or I hate movies too. You watch it and you're like, man, I just saw every good part of that movie in the trailer.
Yep.
And when that part comes on, it's no longer funny because you saw it already in the trailer.
And you're like, well, wait, where's the scene from the trailer that
or
was
sometimes
really
they'll
funny?
put ones that they cut.
Yeah.
Like they'll put something in the trailer and then you watch the movie and you're like, I didn't even see that. They cut it out.
I love how after you watch a movie trailer too, you immediately turn to the person next to you in the theater and you're like, that's gonna be really bad. That's gonna be so bad.
I'm notorious for always turning and being like, I'm gonna see that.
Yeah.
And then I never see it. But
Or
like
then
every movie, I'm like, oh, that looks so good. I'm gonna see that. I get that's why I don't like watching those, because like I get way too excited. See, I'm the opposite. Where like I'll get too excited, and then I'll have this huge expectation for the movie, and then I'll watch it. I'm like, well, that wasn't like the trailer, you know?
Yeah. A couple other movies that were on my list was Rocky, obviously, like Jurassic Park, like movies that defined a generation. Forrest Gump,
Didn't
Castaway.
like Jurassic Park too much.
You can get out now. You can. There's
I
the
know.
door.
I know.
There's the door. You can leave.
Very
that was
overrated.
my childhood.
That's why people like it.
But no, I liked it because it was.
People like it because you saw it when you were 5, which I don't know what you're doing watching a PG-13 movie when you're 5. And it's got Newman
Blame my
in
parents for that one, then I guess.
And maybe I'm just bitter because I wasn't allowed to watch it, and all these other
there you
kids
go.
around me are like,
It was a great movie, you know, faithful adaptation of the book. Had some really awesome visual effects in there, like the animatronics that they used were top of the line. Still look better than some of the CG used nowadays.
I mean, it's Steven Spielberg, so
yeah, Spielberg directed it. I think you just need to go back and rewatch it. Don't put any of like the sequels into your mind. You know,
I've only seen the first one.
Oh well, go back and rewatch it. And
isn't Brendan Fraser in it?
No, Sam Neill, Laura Dern.
Okay,
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, okay,
one of my favorite guys
yeah.
of all time. He's just like an eccentric like jazz dude now, but he's like this.
He's interesting,
like hip, you know, like sexy dude or whatever back in the day, and. He'd be like, yeah,
he's a sexy dude.
That's what everybody. That's like his thing was like he was the sex appeal guy. He was the like not comic relief, but you know, just I don't know, one of those.
He's just got such a
characters.
Weird sense of humor.
He does have a very.
He's definitely one of those guys who are always,
which
like,
is why he's so cool.
Yeah,
watch the World According to Jeff Goldblum.
He's different.
Disney Plus.
There's no one else that I can think of that's like him.
No. He's one of a kind. National treasure, he is.
I just always think about. Oh, that's a good movie. I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to steal
the Declaration of Independence.
By the way, I watched Hangover the other day.
Oh, man.
Another movie I kept thinking about. I'm like, hey, that's the guy from National Treasure. Doug?
Oh, yeah, that guy. Justin Bartha? Yeah.
Oh,
that's his
yeah.
name. Let's see, what else? And then, obviously, Star Wars was, like, the big focal point.
The originals are the best.
The originals, yeah. They were ones that kicked off kind of that whole sci-fi genre, space and...
How crazy is that, too? James Earl Jones and Harrison Ford are still just, like, A-list actors.
Well, so is Mark Hamill, too. Like,
yeah, not really, though. I mean, because he did Star Wars again.
Well, did you know that he's like a good, renowned voice actor, too? So he was the voice of the Joker in the Batman animated series. He played a lot of other voices on different cartoons and different animated movies as well. He was in a couple Pixar movies. So, like, he's pretty relevant. And,
so he's around, just kind of like more behind the scenes.
Like more behind the scenes type of thing, but... I mean, Carrie Fisher. Yeah, but I guess Harrison Ford, and that was pretty much the biggest actor to come out of that whole movie franchise. I mean, that's
unbelievable. Well, he did Indiana Jones like right after.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
But I think those were some of the more bigger movies that defined a generation. So,
definitely changed sci-fi.
It did,
and the whole space odyssey deal. You know, you had, I think, Space Odyssey came out after that, and that whole genre.
Yeah, really, you've got very memorable characters. That's the classic hero's journey genre of like, okay, you know, there's a problem, I can't figure it out, I can't do it, I'm building myself, training myself up to it, then overcome the challenge and all that kind of stuff.
Do or do not, there is no try.
Exactly. But, so that was my list. I don't know, Aaron, we're going to wrap up here with some movies that made the most impact. So can you think of any movies that like impacted you a whole lot, or
like in my life?
Yeah, like some of your favorite movies, or you were like, wow, that had a lot of impact on.
Yeah, like I
me.
said, Hacksaw Ridge. I would say that one really comes to mind. Probably the number one of just how emotional you get when you watch that. And I think too, that's one of the few movies I've been really happy I saw in theaters, because I don't think it has the same effect if you just watch it at home. I mean, it still will, but in theaters, you, like I said, you really feel like you're there. Gladiator is another one.
That's
really makes you just well,
they can never take our freedom. Wait, no, that was Braveheart.
Yeah,
I'm quoting the wrong
another
movie.
one.
That was that one too.
Braveheart, another one where I think both making you think about the time period, and especially something you learned about in school, but like really makes you feel like you know more about the time period because you kind of feel like you're there, and also just the whole lessons it teaches and that sort of thing. So a lot of Mel Gibson movies.
You like Mel Gibson a lot, yeah.
I mean, he's good. He's a good director.
Yeah,
really good director. He's a good actor too.
And I think he's a good director and everything.
He got a bad rap for his voicemails 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's kind of come back into people's graces again. Not that he didn't deserve that, but like I'm glad people are starting to move on from that, because he's so talented, and both as an actor and director, and the theme of this podcast. Yeah. Or this episode at least, he's inspired people and really made you think about events and about just how you act, and taught lessons. And I think he's done so much for society as a whole. He needs to be remembered for that. So I'm glad he's coming back. He's kind of like on an A-Rod tour, where people are forgiving him.
Yeah, he's being
my boy A-Rod.
Yeah,
shout out.
Some
A-Rod.
movies that I had on was Good Will Hunting.
I never saw that.
Awesome movie. I saw it when I was graduating college for the first time. Resonated with me. Like,
for the first time?
Yeah.
You graduated college twice?
No, when I first saw the movie.
You said
when I first saw the movie for the first time.
You said when I graduated college for the first time.
I saw the movie for the first time when I graduated college. Jeez.
That's what you said. I'm just saying.
Can't help that I misspoke there.
You should have played that off for like, yes, when I was getting my doctorate.
Well, yeah, you should have. Would have been much cooler. So, but not as cool as you are.
That's Matt Damon, right?
Yeah, Matt Damon. Ben Affleck's in it, but resonated with me of like trying to figure out what I want to do with my life after college. He has a big thing of he's really smart, but he has no idea. He's not really fulfilling his potential, and he's like a genius.
Yeah, I was basically Matt Damon. I was a genius. I only know the plot of that. I only know the plot of that movie because it's in Step Brothers.
Oh yeah,
and when he's like talking about it, it's like sometimes I see an equation on the board, I'll just solve it. I work as a janitor, and they're like, it's the plot of Good Will Hunting.
That's the plot of Good Will Hunting. Dead Poets Society was another one. Really awesome movie with Robin Williams. Very inspirational scene. Oh, Captain, my Captain.
I'm gonna disagree on that one.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was forced to watch it in middle school, so maybe that's another watch again.
Times you got to revisit movies at different points in your life.
Yeah,
you'll understand it a little bit differently. Castaway was another one.
Ooh, that's a good one. I really like that
I love Castaway. Anything with Tom Hanks in it is basically just like
he's another one.
Plus for me.
Can't think of a movie where you've watched.
I can't think of a movie that's bad. Yeah, that he's in.
And he's never done a movie where you're like, why are you doing this? He always makes something that's different and I think relevant to the time when he makes it.
One other movie that I saw was really good was Secret Life of Walter Mitty. You ever seen that one?
Ben Stiller, right?
Yeah, Ben Stiller.
I never saw it.
Great movie.
I know I've seen the previews.
Yeah, got a super boring life. Thinks that he goes on this really great adventure to achieve something or whatever, but it's
I think
makes you dream, makes you want to like do like the whole wanderlust thing and be like, okay, I want to go out and travel and see the world and have an adventure or something.
I think he's another one where on the surface he's like a dumb comedian, but a lot of the movies he makes
there's
have
a lot of
purpose.
There's a lot of heart between
they make you think.
So yeah, those are my movies that were the most impactful. Obviously I have watched so many more movies.
Yeah, you've watched a million movies.
I've watched a million movies.
You are the movie guy.
If I could somehow have like a little counter between how many movies I've watched in my life, it must be in at least 10,000. Has to be. I mean, maybe a little bit less.
You'd have to do the math on that, but you've probably spent
I've probably spent 10,000 hours of my life watching movies.
You've watched like 2 movies in a row before, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I watched like 4 movies in a row at one point.
Whoa.
One of the rainy Saturday or something.
See, I don't have the attention span.
I
I like movies, but I can't. even if they're good, it's too long.
See, I don't know. I love being thrown into another world. Looking at it from that character's point of view. I think it's the best art form there is. So there you go. But
ooh, I don't know. You're talking to the music guy here, so
we'll save that for part 2.
Gonna have to battle that one out.
If you liked hearing what we our discussion on movies and the impact it had on society and pop culture, let us know. What are your favorite movies? Continue the conversation with us on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on iHeartMedia. We're on Spreaker, Spotify, the whole 9 yards.
We want to hear your opinions too on the movies and the actors you mentioned.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure we're going to get roasted for some of the stuff we said.
Most likely, yes. What are the movies that impacted you the most growing up? Or what do you think was the movies that kind of shook up the whole industry and set the trend? Check us out on Twitter. We're at Weekendology Pod. We're on YouTube at Weekendology Podcast. Check out our last episode too, where we talk about the best all-star experience in the world, or in the world of sports. Let us know what your favorites are. Aaron, you got anything else before we close this off? Any other last movie quotes or things that you want to tell to the audience?
I think I got all my movie impressions out. You got any impressions?
No, I'm tapped out. So I'm sure I'll think of some more after this podcast. But
I know, right? Dang, I used up my Arnold impressions. Those are always my favorite.
You did.
But no, just give us a follow.
Yeah.
Shout out Talia Paris. Shout out Allie Rose. We need them back on the podcast.
Former guests and
friends of the podcast.
Friends of the podcast. Yes.
We'll have to talk about movies with them.
Yes.
And shout out to everyone else we've had.
We'll regale all.
We got to have some more guests back on the show.
Yeah, we'll have a couple guests coming up in the next couple months here. And we've got new episodes every Friday, so check us out then. But until then, we'll see you guys next week.